We've tended the root, we've turned the compost, we've planted a seed. Now a fundamental question arises. What do we pour on it all? This isn't a metaphor about motivation or positive thinking. It's something more literal, more physical. It's about the water that sustains everything growing in the field of the mind. The water is attention. Think about that. The water is the attention. We tend to think of attention as a spotlight that we control, a beam we aim at things and focus our attention. Actually, we say, pay attention, as if it were currency. We say, platforms capture it, as if it were prey. These metaphors are economic, transactional, but they miss something deeper. Attention behaves less like a spotlight and more like a solvent, a binding agent. In the act of paying attention, we don't merely observe, we mix. We dissolve the boundary between observer and observed, which brings us to a strange and surprisingly useful concept from physics, entanglement. In quantum physics, when two particles become entangled, they no longer behave as separate entities. A change in one instantly affects the other, regardless of distance. Their states are correlated, their fates linked. I've come to see attention as a force that creates this kind of entanglement in consciousness. What we give our attention to, we become entangled with. We become what we give our attention to, not metaphorically, but neurologically, chemically, somatically. When we focus on a story, a worry, a headline, a voice, a feed, we are not watching from a safe distance. We are initiating a coupling. Our nervous system synchronizes. Our emotional state adjusts. Our inner climate shifts. This reframes a very ordinary question. What are you clicking on? It's no longer about curiosity or distraction. It's about choosing entanglement partners. Each click, each scroll, each prolonged gaze is a handshake with a specific frequency of the world. Are we entangling with courage, or with panic, with fragmentation and speed, or with depth, coherence, patience, and slow building truth? The types of particles we repeatedly entangle with begins to determine the resonance of our own system. This is where the idea of an information diet becomes ecological instead of moral. We water our inner garden with attention, and water always shapes what grows. If we irrigate the soil with constant, high-pressure spray of breaking news, algorithmic rage, and curated envy, the ground becomes acidic and jittery. Roots of trust struggle to deepen. Seeds of hopeful vision get washed away before they can anchor. What grows instead mirrors the water. Anxiety, reactivity, scattered thoughts. But if we water with a slow, steady drip, with sustained focus, long-form thinking, careful reading, real conversation, time in nature, the soil settles. It becomes receptive. The roots go down. Seeds germinate quietly in the dark. We don't grow faster, we grow stronger. This is the real discipline of the information age. Not content moderation, but entanglement hygiene. It asks us to become physicists of our own attention, to notice. What is the state of the media I'm consuming? Is it coherent or fragmenting? Does it stabilize my system or scatter it into 1,000 nervous probabilities? The old masters understood this. Even without the language of quantum mechanics, they spoke of guarding the senses, silence, solitude, fasting, chanting, focused study. These weren't punishments or retreats from life. They were technologies of controlled entanglement. They were choosing what the mind would couple with. They were protecting the water. So a practice emerges, not withdrawal from the world, but conscience irrigation. Before clicking on something, pause. What state am I inviting into my system? Before scrolling, check. Is this the quality of entanglement I want for the next hour of my life? It might mean letting the mind entangle first with the morning, light, breath, intention, before handing it over to a device. It might mean choosing one long, demanding piece of writing instead of 50 headlines, one coherent thread instead of a particle storm. Because attention is not infinite. It is a precious solvent. What we pour in dissolves into us. Pour it on helpless outrage and we drink anxiety. Pour it on comparison and we ingest lack. Pour it on skill, craft, beauty, honest conversation and we drink agency, depth, connection. The future we fertilized in the last episode will only grow accordingly to the quality of the water it receives. A hopeful vision, watered with frantic distraction, will wither. A small, actionable seed, watered with deep presence, will take root. We are always becoming entangled, sip by sip, click by click, moment by moment. We are drinking the world and becoming it. So the question isn't only what are we looking at, the question is, what water are we becoming?